Wrestling juice. Every now and then a moment erupts in WWE that doesn't just feel like another chapter in the weekly grind, but shakes the entire foundation of the company. And this week that seismic shock came when Jacob Fatu delivered an absolutely earth-shattering retaliation against Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. And before we break down what will go down as one of the most decisive, brutal, and career-defining statements in WWE history, make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit that like, and ring the bell so you never miss the kind of content that keeps you plugged into the drama, chaos, and history-making moments of professional wrestling. Because trust me, the Tribal Combat Samoan unleashed something that will be talked about for decades to come. Now let's set the stage, because for weeks two of the most powerful competitors on the roster had made it their mission to target Fatu, to bully him, to break him before he even had the chance to rise. Their logic was cruel but clear. Eliminate the threat before it becomes unstoppable. So week after week, Breakker and Reed unleashed blindside attacks, double-team assaults, and punishing blows that would have hospitalized any ordinary man. Reed crushed him with his 330-pound frame. Breakker overwhelmed him with explosive speed and suplex-heavy offense, and the WWE Universe watched on edge, waiting, anticipating, knowing that the Tribal Combat Samoan was a storm quietly building, and when it finally broke, it would change everything. Because unlike his attackers, Jacob Fatu did not act on impulse. He waited. He bided his time like a predator stalking prey, studying every weakness, every habit, every arrogance both men carried. And then, when they celebrated what they thought was a triumphant tag team victory, basking in the spotlight believing they had crushed their enemy, Jacob Fatu stormed the arena with a purpose that was undeniable. The crowd erupted in an instant because they knew, they felt, that this wasn't just another confrontation. This was retribution. This was the moment when the hunted became the hunter. The man who had endured humiliation after humiliation now came armed with weeks of fury, heritage, and cold determination. And when Fatu collided with Breakker, the impact wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. It was like the gods of wrestling themselves had sent thunder down through the ring. And moments later, when he turned to Reed, his strikes cracked through the arena like lightning bolts. This wasn't just professional wrestling. This was primal warfare. It was weeks of torment exploding into a storm that no one could contain. Fatu zeroed in on Breakker first, the loudest tormentor, the man who had mocked him the most. But Breakker, despite his reputation as a second-generation phenom, was no match for the ferocity of a Samoan warrior fighting with destiny at his back. Suplexes rattled him, slams echoed like gunshots, and punishing strikes left him helpless. In mere minutes, Breakker went from dominant force to vulnerable victim. Every move was precise, every strike personal, every second was justice carved into his career. But Jacob wasn't finished. When Reed tried to intervene, the 330-pound monster found himself trapped in the same fury. A man who had built his reputation on being immovable suddenly found himself thrown around in a clash of titans that left the crowd gasping. And then came the moment that defied logic. Jacob Fatu lifting Reed with shocking, almost impossible strength and slamming him down with a power that shattered the illusion of Reed's invincibility. The unstoppable force had finally been stopped. And then the exclamation point. Jacob Fatu climbed the ropes like a Samoan god preparing divine judgment, with Breakker broken in the ring and Reed stunned on the outside. He launched his 270-pound frame through the air in a splash that connected with perfect precision, driving weeks of fury into Breakker's chest. The impact was seismic. The crowd erupted like a volcano. Chants shook the building as the message rang crystal clear. Jacob Fatu was not to be underestimated. His dominance was undeniable, and as Breakker lay motionless and Reed stumbled away like a wounded animal, Jacob stood tall, a conquering warrior, dominance personified. No words needed because his actions had echoed louder than anything he could have spoken. Commentators struggled to find words. Fans filled social media with reactions, highlights, and memes. The servers flooded with his name. #JacobFatu trending worldwide, and the symbolism was undeniable. Two established stars tried to bury him and instead became stepping stones to his rise. And while Breakker now faces the collapse of his aura and Reed confronts the loss of his aura of invincibility, Jacob Fatu stands taller than ever, transformed from rising star to established main event force. His combination of power, agility, and ruthless intensity drawing comparisons to the greatest legends of all time. This was not potential. This was greatness unleashed, and everyone in that locker room now knows the reality. Fear and respect must be given to the tribal combat Samoan, because the era of Jacob Fatu has officially begun. His retaliation wasn't just revenge. It was respect, heritage, and destiny all colliding in one unforgettable night. The foundation of WWE has been shaken, and years from now we will still talk about this night, as the night a sleeping giant awoke and took his place at the summit of the wrestling world. So tell me, wrestling wildcards, what did you think of Jacob Fatu's historic retaliation? Can Breakker or Reed ever recover? What does this mean for championship gold? And who, if anyone, is bold enough to challenge the tribal combat Samoan next? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button if this gave you chills, and hit subscribe because the age of Jacob Fatu has only just begun, and you do not want to miss a second of it.